What is going on, Sabres fans, and welcome to another episode of the Sabres Spotlight podcast, where we shine a light on all things Sabres hockey. Ryan, what's going on?
Mm, Nothing in my life really, but around the NHL. What a banger week for the trade deadline. I feel like a lot of people used to give the NHL slack that like the trade deadline or trade week was boring and that like the NBA was like so much better. But I feel like this week, man, the NHL has really, especially with a certain team in a place where the only place you could legally place bets until, gambling became legal. But that specific city, man, just goes all out every single year. And I hate them, but it's fun. But we'll talk about them later.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Vegas, bro.
Okay, all right, that's what I thought. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. Yeah, it was definitely a busy week. I think was this more active than usual? I feel like it was as
I feel
far
like
as like trade.
the last few years, I feel like teams are making moves like, maybe like a month or so prior to the deadline or like weeks prior. But I feel like that kind of happened with the Tanev deal last week and stuff. But this week, man, Wednesday and Thursday, it really popped off. And then today, obviously. But yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because, like I said, I feel like just historically, I've always heard like, oh, this was like another disappointing year at the trade deadline, but there was definitely some big moves. I think we could just kind of get right into it. We'll start with around the league stuff, and then we'll focus on the Sabres. There's obviously been a ton of Sabres things to go over here in the last a lot's happened in the last 72 hours, so we'll get to all that in just a little bit, but we'll go around the league here first. Lots of action. What are some of the top things? I got a couple things I've kind of keyed in on, but what are your major thoughts or takeaways from the deadline? Maybe winners, losers type thing.
I gotta say, it's exciting for playoffs because I feel like it was an arms race around all the contenders.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
like it started off with a bang, like I said, Dallas getting Tanev last week, and then on Wednesday, we're going to talk about Byram in a little bit later, but Colorado just kicking things off and acquiring Sean Walker from Philadelphia for picks and Ryan Johansson. Because, dude, it's so funny. Ryan Johansson, I saw a bunch of stories this week about how the players in the locker room, like, they can't stand him and they want him gone somehow. And it's got to be telling about a guy that, like, he gets traded and then Philly buys him out the same day. Like, god damn. Or doesn't buy him out, but puts him on waivers. And Colorado gets Sean Walker out of the deal, who he kind of was like a relative unknown for a little while, but really broke out this year with his like puck moving ability. He's a little small, but like he kind of fills the hole that Bo and Byram left in their trade to us for Casey Mittelstadt, which obviously we're going to get into depth on that. But that started off Wednesday, and then it just kind of trickled from there. It was just a great 3 days of hockey content. I'm no Elliot Friedman, and I know Elliot said that he had like 17 hours on his phone on
Oh my
tickets the other
god, yeah,
day,
he looked like a
but
fucking
I
disaster.
was on my phone all day for the last 2 days. I barely got my work done, so it was just a pretty good day. That started it off.
Well, I tell you all the time, you are my Elliot Friedman because like
Yeah, because I'm
you're
on
always
fucking
scrolling,
Twitter 24/7.
and I'll just get an
Literally,
update
I'm
from you.
walking
So I'm
with the
like,
mail in my hand
all
and
right, well,
scrolling.
Friedman's gonna get it
I'm
first,
walking in.
and then you're gonna see it, and then you're gonna give it to me. So it's just kind of nice how the chain reaction always finds its way back to me. But yeah, Walker's he's a little bit older defenseman for Colorado, so they get a little bit older at defense. Obviously, trading Byram to the Sabres there, but it's yeah. I mean, I don't know much about Walker, but he seems like like a steady defenseman as far as
Yeah,
Colorado what they need on the blue line.
so I was looking. I think Dmitry Filipovich was talking about this,
Dimitri.
and Philadelphia has the fifth best rush offense in the NHL, and that's because they have puck movers like Sean Walker. And Colorado has the second best rush offense in the NHL. So I mean, Walker just goes right into an offense that plays into his skill set, and that's
Yeah, I
that's going
mean,
to be
talk
fun
about a
for
nice
him.
fit. So
But besides that, dude, so the other guy that they traded for was Yakov Trenin, this fourth liner. This guy is a bear. This guy will chuck knucks with anybody in the league. I love him so much. He's a UFA at the end of the year, and I want the Sabres to get him for their fourth line so bad. Like he's like my target. This guy will fuck you up. And they acquired him for like a third and like a deep like a AHLD. So that dude, it's I want him. Like I want to see him in the playoffs just run ragged through the Western Conference and just piss people off, and then come to the Sabres in the offseason.
So he's getting the heavyweight fights with Rempe and all them now.
Dude, he's like not that big, but he will throw. Like it's insane. He just is a fucking bear. I love it. I mean, he's Russian. Some of those Russians are crazy.
I mean, he's got a baller name, that's for sure.
I
Yakov, like
know.
that's a
Yeah.
sick name. So those are the two
Kinda-
main moves for Colorado, aside from getting Mittelstadt. So they made a few moves across the board. So they're definitely making a push, and they're right in the mix there. But you want to get into maybe Vegas next. I mean, Vegas is
Dude,
always active, but they did a shit ton.
this team is I can't stand them. Obviously, it's I feel, but fans around the league are like, oh, Vegas is ruining hockey. Like Vegas is circumventing the cap. Dude, we're just mad because Vegas has a team that is smarter than all of our teams and is doing the things that other teams are unwilling to do.
Yeah, I mean, what I mean, yeah, I don't know. I can't speak much on that because I think they're probably taking the players in the medical room and beating them up a little bit around inside.
But dude, so I'll get into it. So they acquired Noah Hannafin from Calgary in a three-team trade that multiple picks were given. Philadelphia was used as the salary broker, so Calgary gets Hannafin at a 25% rate for the rest of the season, and then I saw that there might be like extension talks with him after the season. But dude, of course, the number one defenseman on the trade market goes to friggin' Vegas, and they were
Hmm.
talking about him going to Colorado and Tampa and Florida, but of course he lands in Vegas. It's insane how they just keep doing this.
Yeah, I mean I I know their four isn't their forward group more injured now than their demon.
Yeah, I mean they don't have. I mean Eichel just came back, and Mark Stone has a spleen issue, but magically he'll be ready for the playoffs. That's just how it goes
Yeah,
down there.
yeah, yeah.
And
He'll be ready.
dude, the other move they did was they
But they've
traded
been
for Thomas
sliding. I
Hertl.
mean, they've been kind of. I mean, they're still going to make the playoffs. They're still in a fine spot, but compared to how they started the season, they're definitely in a bit of a slide. So
Yeah, dude, it's weird. Like theoretically, I saw that like they if they go 10-9 and a couple other teams like go like 13-6, they can miss the playoffs. It'd be so
yeah.
funny if they missed the playoffs.
I would love that. I would love that. I mean, they did the first year they got Eichel there, and then so they kind of did this a little bit that first year. And then last year, obviously, they were just kind of rolling all year. But yeah, I mean, it's what they do. I mean, they have it's kind of like the Canucks in a way. I mean, they know what they want to get, and then kind of go out and get it. It's surprised to see the Canucks really didn't do much, obviously, but they kind of did all their work already. So that is what it is.
Dude,
But another
so
team that's in a little bit of a slide.
it was insane. So when literally 3 p.m. happens, I'm scrolling my phone. I'm like, all right, trade deadline's over. And then, there's always stuff that trickles out after the trade deadline, like is actually over because there's stuff in the queue. The people that process trades have to go through like each team and figure out like what teams put in for trades and whatnot. And then, dude, like 3:30, Kevin Weeks or Frank Saravalli or someone was like, yeah, and Thomas Hurdle is going to Vegas, and I'm like, what? Are you serious? Like, this guy has 6 years left. He's got an $8 million cap hit, and Vegas somehow is
Jesus.
going to fit him in. Like, I don't understand where they get this money. But then I'm like, oh yeah, LTIR baby, LTIR. They're gonna have like 20-something million in cap, like over the cap when playoffs begin. It's crazy.
They give a first rounder for him too.
Yeah, they gave so the trade's weird. Like so, um, it was Thomas Hurdle and third round picks in 25 and 27 from San Jose for forward David Edstrom and a 2025 first. So they literally paid Vegas to take this contract off their books. San Jose is committing to a long rebuild. Like they're going to be really
Hmm.
bad for a long time. And I mean, they kind of did Hurdle a favor too. Like it's fucking Vegas. Like they're incredible. So putting
Yeah.
him on a championship team, he kind of deserves that. He's been in San Jose for like a long time. So good for Hurdle, and he's hurt too. He's going to be back before playoffs start. So you know, Team LTIR is going to get one guy back before playoffs.
I think the big trade that I wanted to kind of go over because it's a team I pumped up a couple weeks ago as a little bit of a not necessarily a dark horse because they're always there, but a team that no one is really talking about as much, a little bit under the radar, the Carolina Hurricanes. But they got, I don't know, would you say he was kind of the big fish of the free agent market? I mean, Gensel, obviously from Pittsburgh, and the deal was, I mean, they got it done, and they also got Kuznetsov. But what do you think about them landing uh, Gensel? It seems like there's been reports that they want to try and extend him too. I mean, that would make sense, obviously, but
Dude, he was the best goal scorer on the market. And you talk about
yeah.
Carolina, they're a team that every year in the playoffs they don't advance because they don't score goals. And now
Hmm.
they got this guy, and it's weird because Carolina doesn't they don't trade for rentals like ever. And like
Yeah.
you said, they're gonna try to extend him and stuff. But this is the first year where they're like, we got to go all in, and they did it. And they got Gensel without giving up their best prospect, this kid. I forget his first name, but his last name is Nikishin. He's a Russian defenseman. Kid is
Hmm.
nasty. But they did give up two forward prospects. I'm not even going to try to pronounce their names because there's a Russian kid and a Finnish kid. But they're both really, from what I see and what I hear from other people, they're both really good prospects. So it's not like Pittsburgh gave up or got nothing for Gensel. And if he wanted to leave, he wanted to leave. I mean, we've seen it in Buffalo countless times. So
Yeah, I mean they got, I mean like you said, they essentially got what, four players and two picks for him, right? So
yeah.
I mean it's a decent haul. I mean they did send one of their prospects
Oh
over in the
yeah,
deal
fucking
as well, but
Bunting. They sent Bunting over too because
yeah, Bunting.
Kyle Dubas just has to have his boy on the team. Insane how I would not want Michael Bunting anywhere near my hockey team, and Dubas just has to have him. Had him in Toronto, and has to have him on Pittsburgh. It's funny.
What do you think of the Kuznetsov news?
It's weird, dude. Like
It's bizarre.
he comes back and Washington's like, all right, you're done here. We're gonna throw you in the AHL. Like, and then he just moves to Carolina. Like, and it's insane because when he was moved to Carolina, uh, what did he get traded for? I don't even know. Oh, a 2025 third. Dude, so 10 minutes after the trade was announced, they tweeted a picture of their practice and he was there. So like, I wonder I
So
wonder
it
if
was
Hershey,
decided on before, right?
yeah, I wonder if Hershey or Chocolate Town, I should say, I wonder if they were like driving their team bus somewhere and he was like, "No, you stop in Carolina. I go Carolina." Because wow, that is funny.
Watch him just like totally just like resurge there.
I would kind of love it, dude. He's been like when he was at his peak in 2018, like 2018, 2019-ish, dude, he was so fun to watch. Even when he was, I remember Kuznetsov way back in the day when he was in Russia, because he was one of those players like a Kaprizov who got drafted and then like spent multiple years in Russia before he came over. The hype on Kuznetsov was insane when he came over, and he was like immediately awesome. So I want to see that guy resurge. He had a drug issue. I mean, dude, drugs are no joke. So
Yeah, yeah.
if I want him to, I want to see him healthy. I want to see him healthy off the ice, and I want to see him producing, even for Carolina, even for that scumbag team. I want to see him doing well.
I'm so glad you said that because yeah, as much as I think they have a shot, I mean they always have a shot, but like I cannot stand Carolina, so I will absolutely not be rooting
What
for them.
you don't like the storm surge?
I don't know. The storm surge is brutal, man. I'd rather have fucking no salute like the Sabres do than the storm
Yeah.
surge.
Well, we traded the guy that it was just funny to joke about because everyone was like, "Oh, Okposo was the guy to say not to salute the fans," and I like we said last time, like that was so overblown. But hey, now that he's gone, I'm gonna say that it was true because I don't have to stick up for him anymore. You know?
How, I was gonna say, was that true or is that just speculation?
No, I don't think it was true. There's no way. Like he's not gonna say fuck the fans. Like maybe like
That's a
internally
young
they're
kid thing to say. That's like
yeah,
I could
maybe
see like a Cousins or a Thompson saying that and just being like, "Oh, fuck these guys," like
and
whatever.
like maybe even if they did say like, hey, fuck them, they're gonna boo if you play bad, but like obviously they're at the same time they're gonna be like, you're gonna get cheered if you play well and we're gonna salute the fans. Like it was so
Yeah,
overblown, like holy shit. But yeah, dude,
yeah.
unbelievable discourse. I love it so much.
Anything else you want to talk about? What do you think? The only other things I had written down was just Winnipeg gets Tyler Toffoli, so they get a little boost there
Yep.
as far as the versatile winger goes, and then the Devils made a goalie swap, so
Dude,
um,
what is up with the Devils? I don't get this at all. They did this literally 4 months too late. What the
yeah.
hell happened here? Who did they acquire? Let's tell the people.
So they acquired Jake Allen,
Yeah, good goalie.
and
Okay.
then I don't I think they just gave up like a pick for that. That was obviously from Montreal, and then Kakinen, and so they
Yeah,
said so that was the goalie swap, Vanacek for Kakinen.
it's hilarious. Like what? So I don't understand. Like you could have done this months ago and probably salvaged your season.
Well, we were just saying. I mean, so right now, I mean, if you look at the Metro, I mean, they just dumped Lindy, so they're just in a mess right now too. But they're eight. I mean, they're 8 points back from Philly, who Philly didn't really. I mean, they didn't really sell at the deadline, right? So
They just
they
sold
just kind of
Walker.
like
That's it.
yeah. So like but yeah, they didn't like do like a fire sale or anything like that, which no one was expecting. I would have figured they'd kind of do what they did just a little bit. But I mean, Jersey's 8 points back of the Metro, and then I mean 6 points out of the wild card right now. So, but realistically, I don't know. Maybe they have a better chance at getting that third spot in the Metro than the wild card, just given how many teams are there. It'll be interesting. But like, yeah, I mean, the whole Lindy Ruff thing, you get rid of him like so late. I mean, I applaud them for doing it. I wish we would have got rid of Granado, like even if it's now. But I mean, you get rid of the coach, it's like, well, you weren't getting goals, and now you make the move. Like, why wouldn't you? I don't know. Was Ruff
Well,
the problem? The problem was they were having like terrible goaltending, and now
okay.
Ruff's out of a job,
So
and they trade for two goalies. What?
So when I came over the other day and we had on that game, the Devils against the Kings, and we're like, oh, let's watch this, like whatever. It was just on the TV.
Oh my
They were
god.
giving up some of the worst goals I've ever seen. Like,
Yeah,
oh my God, just below NHL level goaltending. And they finally like slightly address it like too late. Like I'm not sure the contract statuses of both Jake Allen or Capo Kakinen. Like I don't know if if they need to like re-sign them in the offseason, but like those are two decent goalies, and you could have used this like months ago, man. It's a weird situation there. Honestly, I think it's bizarre what's going on.
yeah. It's. I'm actually just looking real quick to see if I can see what's going on with them. So I think let's see here. I'm on Cap Friendly here, so it looks like I think Hakanen's a UFA after this year,
Okay,
if
so they're
I'm
gonna have
reading
to
this
re-up them. I
correctly.
mean,
But
there's still rumblings out there that they're gonna go hard after Markstrom in the summer. Like they wanted Markstrom. But there was Elliot Friedman and Jeff Merrick were saying the other day on 32 Thoughts that uh, Markstrom thought he was going to New Jersey. Like they told him they had a deal for him wrapped up and then it didn't get done. So that's he was like super pissed at Calgary that it was like, why tell me that I'm getting traded when I'm not getting traded type of thing. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
they kind of do that. Like that'll be one of their goals in the offseason. Like that's definitely going to get done at some point. There's too much smoke out there, too much fire. But such a weird situation in New Jersey. Like the Sabres aren't the only mess in this league.
Oh yeah, you were saying Markstrom wants to go there.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Like he was like pissed off that he wasn't going there. Yeah,
That
yeah.
dude. The only other thing that happened. I mean, there was a ton of trades. We can get into like the mid-level guys. Like Duclair went to Tampa. Alex Wenberg went to the Rangers. Just like, guys that went for like late picks and stuff, like Roslovic. The Rangers acquired Jack Roslovic from Winnipeg, like just for a late round pick for a playoff push. But man, good for Winnipeg for getting Tyler Toffoli from New Jersey. Like like you just mentioned that. But that team
I
is
mean, they
really
gave up a
good.
lot for him.
Yeah, that team is
I
really,
mean, not a
really good.
lot, but a third and a second. So
Yeah, a couple picks. But I'm excited to watch. Dude, the Western Conference is going to be a war this year. Again.
yeah, it is so much stronger than the East. It's crazy. I mean, think
It
about
is.
the strong teams in the East, like the actual contenders in the East. I mean, Florida, like I think Florida is like clearly
Florida's the best team in the
the
league.
top seed.
Yeah.
The league, like the whole league, you think?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, they're certainly up there. They're certainly up there.
But then you
I
got
I
after
like
that,
Dallas too.
after that, after that, you got Boston. Okay, they're kind of in a slump. Toronto,
Yeah,
they're
Boston.
never winning. They're never winning shit.
No, no, no,
The
no, no.
Ranger, the Rangers, and then Carolina, and that's really it. And four and a couple of like three out of the five teams I just named there are, you know, probably not Stanley Cup winners. So
Yeah,
it's definitely a Western Conference year with like Dallas, Winnipeg, Vegas. Who else am I naming?
Colorado,
I'm from
Vancouver,
Colorado, Vancouver.
Edmonton.
Jesus,
I mean,
yeah,
fucking all those teams.
all those teams are that's a stack. Like that, I'm staying up till 2 in the morning to watch my Western Conference playoffs this year. It's going to be loaded and awesome.
Yeah, the West is going to be total carnage. That's for sure. So, I mean, if you look at the Stanley Cup odds right now, the top three teams. So the odds right now are Edmonton, Dallas, and Colorado. I think those are the top three teams right now.
Wow, really? No Florida? That's so surprising to me.
Yeah, yeah, I'll double check that because I don't know. That's what I just did a quick Google search, but let me see. Let me see if I get on. Okay. All right, never mind. So we got okay. So here's the lines right now. So the favorite is the Panthers
Okay,
and
okay. That's
Oilers.
what I figured.
That's plus 700. And then who do you think's number three behind them?
Colorado.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I think that's a little surprising to me that Colorado is
Dude,
number three.
them acquiring Middlestat really, really helps their roster.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were desperate. They desperately needed a number two center, and he's been our best player. So good
As
for
much as
them.
I hate seeing him go there, like seeing his face next to the Avs logo, like it just kind of looks good. Like I'm like, all right, this guy just kind of looks like he like is in a Colorado Avalanche. But yeah, and then it's Vegas, Carolina, and Dallas rounding out the top six. So that's as far as like the odds go. That's your top six right now there.
Yeah.
But I mean
Well,
a lot of the West there. So
you ready to transition away from the league and get Saber specific?
yeah, we'll talk about what the go from the contenders to the
The
Sabers, I
basement,
guess.
the basement, bud, the basement.
Well, we can get on to the Sabres because obviously there's been a lot that's been going on. I think the big trade, and we'll get some initial reaction here now that we've had a couple days to digest it, and we've seen a game already with Byram. He played the other day, and so that was the big swap. So Casey Mittelstadt trades for Bo and Byram 1-for-1. So what are your
Dude,
initial reaction here now that you have some time to digest?
my first reaction is that there's like a meme among hockey Twitter that Bob McKenzie used to do where it was like a trade would happen and he would tweet the trade is 1-for-1. So now just the fact that you said the trade is 1-for-1, it just made me smile because I love that. But mixed emotions here, man. I'm not gonna lie, mixed emotions because the prospect of Bowen Byram in our defense and today Adams in his press conference all but like confirmed that Byram paired with Darlene on the right, with Darlene playing the right and Byram playing the left is going to be a thing for the foreseeable future, which is where he should be slotted in my opinion. It's just sad to see Casey Middlestat go. I I'm in love
Yeah.
with the player that he turned into. and I really hoped he was going to get re-signed for like a 3-year deal and see it through. But hey, two teams had, identified needs, and I saw Sabres fans being like, "Oh, it's another left shot D, blah blah blah. We don't need another soft guy." No, Bowen Byram is not a soft hockey player. He will hit you in the corners, and the best thing I like about this guy is he immediately becomes one of the best skaters on the team, and he can break the puck out. How often have we seen players, our defense, struggle to break the puck out? Just simple stuff like that. And we saw in
Well,
his
you'll see
game
Bowen
yesterday.
Byram struggling to break the puck up in
No,
about a week.
I forgot. Every time I talk about a player positively, I'm like, oh yeah, they got to play for this coaching staff. So fuck, we just cursed him. But in terms of what we got, it's nice that we got a guy that seems confident. Like he has not had the best year, but I was looking. This is the crazy part about Colorado. Bowen Byram spent most of his time playing with Colorado's plugs. He spent most of his time with Jack Johnson, who's terrible, and then most of his time with forwards. He played, I think I saw it was about 8% of his ice time was with the McKinnon line.
Hmm.
So he's never on the ice with Colorado's best players. And Colorado, like we said, was dying for forwards. I mean, they had JT Compher centering their second line, which is why they needed Casey Mittelstadt. I'm excited to see what he can do playing with actual skill. Like he's playing with Rasmus Dahlin. He's gonna be deployed out there as much as possible with a Tage or a Tuck. I'm excited to see what he can do in our system and hopefully transcend the awful coaching that we have here because his skill set is tantalizing. And those guys don't really become available often. A 2019 fourth overall pick that dominated the playoffs as a 20-year-old. Like that really doesn't happen all too often. So we really got to make it right and make this acquisition worth it.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what Kevin Adams was saying in his interview. That you don't. It's not often you get chances to acquire top defensemen like that. Usually you have to draft them. And so yeah, my initial thoughts are the same as yours. I think with the year that Middlestat was having and was maybe projected to finish out with, he kind of priced himself out of Buffalo, and I'm betting that it was one of those things where he wasn't either like Adams wasn't thinking he was going to sign him long term anyways, or they were going to let it play out next year and kind of see what happens and maybe move him next year if he wasn't getting what he liked this year. But I mean, I like the return, like you said. I I mean, I'm not a hockey guy, so I probably sound just like so dumb to like major hardcore hockey fans, but like I don't care about handedness. Like to me,
I
like
don't
it just
I don't
just
either.
seems like
I
a
don't.
dumb thing.
I don't. I really
Yeah.
don't.
Like if you're skilled with the puck, like you make it work, like whatever. So like, and I think all of our defensemen are left-handed. Like we just have like a ton of like left-handed
So
defensemen. So
want to know something funny? All of the defensemen on the Sabres team that went to the Eastern Conference Final in 2006 or 0506, I think 5 of them were left-handed. So
yeah,
it just there's been lots of studies that like handedness doesn't really matter all that much if you're good, you know.
yeah, yeah. So like that whole thing, like people were freaking out about that, and I'm just sitting back reading all these comments. I'm like, are we just finding something to complain about now? Like I don't care about left-handedness. Like he's got puck skills, he's quick, and he can read plays, and he's a Stanley Cup champion. So I like the prospects that he has. I mean, I'm just I, I'm this is where I'm at. I'm like, let's just give him a chance and see what happens. I mean, I just hope the coaching staff doesn't ruin him. But as far as like needing a young defenseman, we needed it, and I don't want to see Samuelson playing with Darlene anymore. So if
That'll never
because
happen again, dude. That'll never
I
happen again.
I like part of me forgot Samuelson was on the team because he hasn't been around for so long, and like that little spot in my brain was so happy, and then I remember that he's still here, and I'm just like, yeah, all right. But
What
as far as Byram goes, though, no, I mean I'm excited about it, man. I'm with you. I mean I love Middlestat and everything that he did this year, but I will be rooting for him in Colorado. Certain guys you
what
just like, So
what do you think this poses for Henry Yokiharu, who is a pending RFA this year, this offseason?
I don't. I mean, Yoki Haru is so like interesting to me. I mean, does it depends what's out there, I guess, and what's going to be done in the off season. But like, I wouldn't mind having him back, like for like on a modest contract. He's not demanding like a ton of money, but so I wouldn't mind having him back if he's. But I mean, obviously, it's going to take his minutes down, which I'm totally fine with. But he hasn't played bad. He's just not a difference maker. But I mean, how many do you need? You got Power, you got Darlene and Byram. I mean, and then
I know.
people lump Samuelson in that, and like I've seen like graphics that are saying like I think the NHL actually tweeted out like the core four of the Sabres and Samuelson was in there. I'm
I
like,
did see
come
that.
on. I'm like, get
Well,
out of
dude,
here.
it's so the
If
reason I
anything, it's
asked.
Jacob Bryson.
Well, okay, dude, shout out to Jacob Bryson because he's been playing pretty well. So
Yeah,
we
yeah,
should. He's been pretty good in his like the whole year he's gotten a chance. So it's good for him. But dude, the reason I ask is because so you got in your top two, you got Byram and Darlene, and then Power and Samuelson and Connor Clifton and Ryan Johnson. So that's six defensemen right there.
yeah. Hmm.
I don't really think there's room on this roster for Henry Jokiharju. So if the team wants to, and I firmly believe they're going to add another defenseman. Like I think they're going to shove Clifton into like a more of a seventh defenseman role, and they're
Hmm.
going to find another guy to play probably with Power, so you can run like a Samuelson Johnson third pair. There's no room on this team for Henry Jokiharju anymore. Like I thought he's played really well too, but if they can move him for another forward, I think that they're gonna do that in the offseason.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, it gives you nothing on special teams either, so like it's no. I mean, there's nothing there, but yeah, I mean, I think that's fine. But yeah, I'm excited about the prospect of him playing with Darlene. Obviously, I mean, and do you think I just have one question. This just popped in my head right now. Obviously, he won the Stanley Cup. Do you think that, I mean, he's a young kid. He's 22. He's coming here. He knows he has a history with Peyton Krebs. He has a history with Dylan Cousins. Like, so I think he's a good fit in the locker room already. My my fear is that this locker room though is just fractured and he's going to see it right away, and these kids are young, so like I just don't want him to come in here and just be spoiled right away and be like, I don't really like. I won a Stanley Cup. What I don't need to like make a difference here. Obviously, he's young, so he's still playing for contracts and things. But I don't know. So I wonder about complacency and just like not buying into the culture if it's already fractured. Like I don't know. I don't know. I have
Well,
concerns there.
you got to take into account his injury history because this is the only risky thing that I think is about that the only risk that we take on with this injury is he's had multiple concussions, and the last concussion that he came back from, he talked about how he woke up every day, and every day that he didn't have a headache, he was just thankful for that day. So, and that's very scary. Like you're more susceptible to concussions when you have like multiple. And if this guy is going to be the player we think he is, we also need him to be healthy. Now he's healthy now, and
But wasn't his
concussions are
last concussion like 2 years ago? Like I don't think it hasn't been
it
anything
was
recent, right?
a long like it's been a
I
couple
mean,
years, but that last one was
recent enough.
just so scary. But like as you know with athletes, like he's had those concussions and then maybe he never gets another one ever again. It's just a strange thing. But
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
really the only risk that we take on. And in terms of complacency, this guy, I don't think the young kids on the team were the ones that were fracturing the locker room. And as we get into our next trade here, I think the other guys that were in the room were the complacent ones.
That's a bold take, man. That is a bold take as we go because that's interesting. We haven't chatted about that yet, but all right. Well, take it away. Take it away.
Well, I mean, let's one. I'm gonna respect Okposo a little bit more because he really did. He battled his own struggles with concussions, and he had an eye like his. I don't. Was that with us or where his eye like he had eye surgery or some shit the one year? Like his retina was detached. Um, and
Fuck, I don't even know.
he started his family here, but I just feel like he kind of wore out his welcome as the captain because, in my opinion, I don't need my captain to be a fourth liner. Like I just don't. I don't think that's healthy for your locker room. Like hockey players and hockey teams are very much like do as I do, or monkey see, monkey do, and they need a guy that's gonna like will them into the fight. And I don't think that's Kyle Oposo anymore. Like maybe at one time it was,
He had
but
some nice years. I just look back at
he
like
did.
his history.
He
Like he had
did.
some fucking
Yeah.
nice years in New
He
York,
he was
especially.
really good. Even in the beginning, he was really good for us, and then he had those injuries and kind of like I also respect him that he was a scorer for the majority of his career and then embraced being a fourth liner at the end of his career on a shit team. Like we're a
Hmm.
shit team. And not once did he pout a single time. I don't think that his leadership style was the one to push these kids like over the top. With that being said, I'm so happy for him that he gets moved to Florida and gets a chance at a cup. And it just gives these kids a refresh. Like they needed it. They don't need dad. They don't need Captain Oposo in the room anymore. Like this is their time, you know?
Yeah, did you see what Oposo said?
I didn't see any of his comments, no.
Oh, dude, I took a picture of it. I won't read the whole thing, but I forget who tweeted this, but basically just said how it was like when he found out like how hard that conversation was with his family because he's been here for like 8 years and
Oh,
his
yeah.
sons were. He said like his kids were like crying that he got traded and that dad was going to be going away for a little bit in like Florida and stuff, but. So that's always tough. Yeah, as I mean, I'm with you, man. I respect Oposo and whatnot, but you can't help but just like you said, just kind of, and we brought it up on the show before. Just wonder if was there more that could have been done. Like I don't know, and this is what leads me to believe that that locker room maybe is just so fractured because like Oposo, like I don't think he's like not a good leader, but I think even after a while, if you're just playing for this coach or this system and there's just nothing you can do to turn it around, even after a while, like the best people that you think are leaders, they have to be like, I can't change anything here. Like it's just nothing's going to change. And I feel like it got to a point where it was that. I mean, he had conversations with the coach and, or not the coach, or with Kevin Adams and told him like, yeah, I'd be okay going here, here, and here. It's like, I know you're not going this year anywhere this year, and you want a chance to win, but like you wanted to see this thing through, like, and it all fell apart. I know, but like it all fell apart while you were wearing the C. Like you have to that's part of your job. Like you said, I don't understand. Like, and if it's not the young kids that on the team that aren't easily molded or whatever, then like then and it was the leaders, then like that's a problem. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, most of my vitriol goes towards Eric Johnson. I can't stand him. And
I know.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy he's gone. I thank you, Philly, for the fourth round pick. But if the Sabres needed me to drop Eric Johnson off at the airport, I would have gladly picked him up. Thank God. Nice guy. I'm sure he's a great guy, but signing him in the first place was a massive mistake. Even
Yeah,
Avalanche
that was
fans
bad.
last year were like, this guy cannot play hockey anymore. He cannot. And it was like decent to like okay earlier in the year, but my God, the wheels just fell off the bus the last like 2 months here. Like he was unplayable. We lost, I think, 2 or 3 games solely because of him in the last couple months. So at some
He
point
was
it
so
needed to
bad.
be
I
done
can't
here.
believe we got a fourth round pick for him.
I mean, yeah, thanks, Philly. I mean, he's gonna go play for Torts and probably be a fucking demon because that's just what
Absolutely, absolutely.
happens.
It's just crazy. But I'll be watching that though, because if he goes there and he just starts like, I don't know, he's like rejuvenated
uh,
and just like making defensive plays like left and right, then I don't know. I'll be like, come on, guys, the proof is in the pudding here. I tweeted the other day. I'm like, just like, why are we keeping Don around? Like, if there's still 18 games in this season, you could just like get rid of this system for 18 games and flush this shit system out of these kids. I don't know, man. It's just a
I know.
complete
I'm being
disaster.
mean. I'm being mean tonight, but I mean, most of my vitriol is like it shouldn't be targeted towards the players because they're just the fucking players. Like it should be targeted towards the coaching staff, to which I am completely done with. I told multiple people today, if they bring back this staff, I am not watching a single game next year. Sabre Spotlight will be over as you know it because I am not watching this fucking team with Don Granado as its coach. I can't. You know what's going to happen. They're going to suck. They could bring in McDavid, Crosby, Ovechkin, and McKinnon, and we'd still be bad because of this coach. I'm over it. I'm over it. I know that's exaggerating. No shit. I know. I can't stand it.
Well, here's a question for you. Given, and we can go into, I mean, that's for the most part the trade stuff. We can
Yeah.
elaborate on anything else we
Yeah,
want to as
pretty
we go. But
decent deadline. Decent deadline for Adams getting Bowen Byram, and all he's got work to do in the summer. That's all I'll say. He's got work to do.
well, speaking of Adams and speaking of Granado, what I was going to ask was, do you think, because I got the vibe in his press conference today that he is maybe also kind of done with Granado. Like I don't know. He didn't really get asked any questions directly about Don, but he gets asked a few questions about where they are in the standings and typical stuff like what do you think went wrong and whatnot. And there wasn't like, I mean, there certainly wasn't any endorsements of Granado, and I don't know. It just sounded like his tone was just kind of like frustrated and yeah, I don't know. So I'm just trying to get in your pulse based on what Adam said today. What where do you think you are with that? Because I was thinking Don was back for sure next year, but now I don't know if that's a sure thing.
Well, the thing that really intrigued me was two things actually. The way he talked about Peyton Krebs needing more ice time and how he's impressed with his play, while our coach is playing this guy
Hmm.
like 9 to 10 minutes a night. That's a clear like disconnect. In the Nashville game, why are you playing Jordan Greenway at center with Eric Robinson and Alex Tuck when you have Peyton Krebs, a center, sitting there? Like he could have just elevated him for one game. Like Tage missed the game, was ruled out like an hour before the game. You can't like elevate this kid. He played 9 minutes, dude. Like
The
what in the
Nashville lines were absurd.
what the fuck are we doing here? And then the other thing that intrigued me was Adams talking about the style of play that he wants the Sabres to be, talking about fast pace, quick transition, like offense, offense, offense. We've seen none of that this year. I
No.
think Sabre Report posted it either yesterday or the day before, like going through our offensive metrics. Dude, we're like 30th in XG generated. We're like 28th in um like raw goals for the last like 2 months. Like
Oh yeah,
what?
they have been scoring it all.
Why are we trying to win games 2-1? This is not the roster. We're not the Islanders, bro. We're not the Islanders. As good
But that
as
wasn't even supposed to be the system. Like they
no.
they they started the first 30 games as shitty as they did, and then they're like, okay, we're gonna go back to last year. Well, you haven't.
Well, this. Well, they didn't even try. I feel like they talked about going back to last year, but I don't even really feel like they did. I think they
Well,
just said,
no, they
"Hey,
didn't.
let's just take more chances," and they started scoring a little bit, and then they're just like, "Let's lock it down again." And this team can't lock down games. Like they're not that team yet. At least they're not that team now, and nor should they be that team. I want to see this team being the number one rush offense like they were last year, scoring 300 goals. Fuck defense. Like, I'm sorry. I don't need to see them defend. I need to see them score goals. That's what they're good at. And until Adams brings in like a another checking center, like a Philip Daniel type in LA that will just lock a team down by himself, we don't have that. We just don't. And we got offensive players. And this coach is clearly like doing the opposite.
Do you think? Because in Adam's presser, he talked about how he thinks that learning to play he wants to play quick, he wants to play up tempo, fast, scoring, all that stuff, but he also wants the players to learn how to play responsible defense, and he thinks that maybe that was a reason for some of the lack of success this year is because these young kids are still learning and developing all parts of their game, and he said how he feels that is a natural process for them. But do you think that he knew that identity coming into this year? Like, do you think he
Yes,
wanted? So if he knew that,
yes.
then that's 100% on him because you didn't get players that you needed to play that kind of style, or you had the players, but then you weren't getting that from your coach. So that's what I'm saying. Like now he's saying that, but like if you knew that going into this season, then that should have been the emphasis from the get go. Because now what you're doing
It
is
was,
you're
I
just
think. I think that they signed Eric Johnson over the summer and they said, we're going to teach these kids to play defense. And I got to be honest with you, they're pretty good at playing defense right now. Like, other teams don't generate anything like against us. Like, the problem is we don't generate at all. So obviously, when other
yeah.
teams are getting scoring chances, like it looks bad. But like teams get scoring chances in the NHL. Like this is the NHL. We're just not generating at all because I don't think we're really trying to. It's insane. It's backwards in my opinion. But hey, what are you gonna do? Apparently these kids still have to learn. Dylan Cousins has been in the NHL for fucking 4 seasons. Still has to learn though.
So that's the other main thing I wanted to get to with Adams because he did the one thing I will credit him to is that he's seemingly thrown, which is a good thing I think, this excuse of being young to the wayside a little bit because he did say repeatedly, listen, yes, we're young, but these guys have a lot of games under their belt. They're not, they're young on paper, but they have a lot of experience in the NHL. So I like that because I don't want to keep hearing this excuse of, these kids are young, they don't know how to play. Like there's no reason for that. Like that's why you brought in these vets, and if you're shipping them out, which you just did, clearly you're confident in them taking the reins, and I think that's maybe a good thing. But it was just interesting to hear him say that. And again, I think that's actually a good attitude to have. But
I agree with you. It's time for the players to put up or shut up.
any other thoughts on Adams' interview today?
I'm
I didn't
just
really have anything else.
no. I mean, he just sounds annoyed, honestly, and I don't blame him. And like we said, it's partially his fault, but I don't blame him for being upset. I mean, this is our 13th year in a row without playoffs. What is there to be happy about?
Yeah, I wonder what his leash is as far as like next season goes.
Yeah,
I mean, if you miss the playoffs, this is year 4. So, I mean, if you miss a whole 5 years in a row, it's like there's got to be. I mean, his seat's got to be somewhat hot now. But should we get
this
to?
is this is Pagula's best friend. There's no way his seat's hot. He's got the safest job in the league.
I don't even care about him as much, dude. I don't even care about him. Like, I think he did. I think this was a fine deadline. Like, he did what he needed to do. But like,
I don't either. He fucked up. Like he fucked up this year. He just has to prove it in the summer that they learn from their mistakes. That's really all there is to it.
but dude, Don. I mean, Don has to go. He's so bad, man. He's so bad. When I see Skinner on the fourth line, like again,
That's
that's
fine.
Ralph.
That was fine.
It
That was
is
fine.
it is fine, but it's also like that's the shit Kruger was doing. Like I mean, he was scratching. Like
Dude,
we're
I'm not gonna
there
lie.
now.
This is gonna be a hot take, but Kruger was right about Jeff Skinner. I can't stand this guy anymore. I can't. I can't watch him try to play hockey anymore. I think he's cooked. I honestly think he might be cooked. You know he's 31 years old?
I mean, I didn't know he was exactly 31, but I knew he was up there.
Dude, he's cooked. I think he's cooked. This and this isn't great for us. Like this
No,
is
because he
insane.
scores. He's still one of our top goal scorers.
Sick. He's got 20 goals. He's fucking loafing around out there like he doesn't give a fuck. I sound like a boomer. I sound like a boomer right now. I don't want Jeff Skinner to go out there laying hits, but at least try to steal the puck from the other team. Like, oh my god, I've never seen a guy give a fuck less. Or yeah, I don't even know what you know what I'm saying.
I think you said it perfectly.
Like, holy shit. I can't watch this guy anymore. I can't. Like And I know his career has always been like you're gonna have one crazy year and then a shit year and then a crazy year and then a shit year. And this is clearly the shit year, but I've got no time for it anymore. Like we don't need this anymore.
No, I mean in the thing with Skinner, I mean we've talked, yeah, we've beaten Skinner to a pulp here on the show. I mean he gets you the goals, but like there's just so much scoring regression across our team. It's crazy. I mean, Tage is down,
Yeah.
Tuck is down, like Cousins is down. All these guys are down. You're missing Quinn with injury. I mean, Paterka is so hot and cold, but he's had a great year. It's just so. I mean, that's the thing. It's like as much as I want to say like, this is all this guy gives us. It's like we don't score at all. We don't generate
Dude,
any
okay.
offense. At least he puts the puck in the net when it's open.
A thought popped into my head. Did I send it to you or did you see this goes back to coaching. Did you see the clip of Bowen Byram's first power play with the Sabres?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Dude,
He's directing traffic already,
for
which
you
is
for
great
you
to see,
guys
but it's because we're clueless.
for you guys that haven't seen it, so Byram gets the puck at the point and he's literally like pointing at guys to go to move around because our guys just stand there. And then he fucking the funniest
Well, then
part
he
was
gets to
he
the
does a
front of the
little
net. He literally bumped one of our guys. I don't know. I don't even know who was in front there
it
with
was
him. Like they're
Greenway.
right next to
Dude,
each other.
he give like for a little 1-2 like give and go with Tuck in the corner, throws it to him and then drives the net and Greenway standing there. Like you said, they bump into each other because they
Yeah.
don't know how to play power play. And then Greenway gets the puck literally from like me to my computer is the goalie, and Greenway tosses it into the corner.
Oh my
Like,
god.
can we get some guys that know how to coach a power play, please? Like what? Like that? In 30 seconds, Bowen Byram exposed how awful the Sabres coaches were.
It was terrible. It was terrible. It was, yeah. I mean, and anybody in that clip, he's like he's bringing the puck up the ice too, and he's looking for like anybody that's like skating with him, and it's nobody. He literally had to like stop skating for a second just so like guys could catch up, so like we could bring it into the zone together. Like I'm like Bo, like we play dump and chase, man. Like we don't
Well,
ride through the neutral zone together.
in my opinion, like when he was on the bench, he's probably like, "What did I get myself into?"
But that's yeah. I mean, he has. I don't know. I don't know. I'm hoping
I
not. I'm
can't.
hoping not. I'm trying to stay optimistic about the trade because I like him. I like the talent, and I love the age and the fact that he's going to be with Donleen. He's not going to be worse than Samuelson. So I'm trying to stay optimistic about it. I'm honestly kind of hoping that like he can help coach this power play, like or at least be a voice. Like we've been saying this all year. We want these young kids to step up and be like, guys, we can't run our power play like this anymore. But like maybe they just don't know. Like they haven't had that coaching throughout the year. Like Bo's been there, done that. So like if maybe he can be a young voice in the locker room too, and be like, guys, like Matt Ellis, go sit on the bench. I know you drew up one good play for Darlene and one overtime, but that's all you ever did.
Dude, I feel like Byram is sitting there like I have watched Nathan McKinnon be a psycho on the power play for the last 2 seasons, and then this is what I get, and all of you guys are just standing there doing nothing. Like
Yeah.
this is not happening. Like, and I've heard that Byram has a little bit of like a feisty streak, like he's a confident kid and like no, like he's pretty smart with the game and stuff. There's
Hmm.
no way he's gonna come in here and stand for this. Like he
Yeah,
he
no.
might be the one to speak up and be like, listen, guys, like no shit, you're like the eighth worst team. Like what is this? What are we doing here?
Yeah, and it's kind of good that he feels some comfort already, right? Because
Yeah.
he has some history with the guys. So I don't think it's like if he came into the room and was like confident in saying stuff right away, like I don't think that that would be perceived in a negative light or like who's this guy. I mean, having won a Stanley Cup also helps, but like I mean, fuck, we thought that would be the case with Eric Johnson, but he's just a failure all around. So
So to wrap up the whole conversation, long story short, is Don Granato bad?
hmm
Don Granato needs to get fired. Like I'm sorry, bud.
yeah,
You did well
I
for your first year, but we're done with you.
did he though? Like that's what I'm saying. Like, did he do good in that first year? Like, we still missed the playoffs, and like,
We
did
we
all these
couldn't fi-
players really progress like under him?
we
Because now they
we
just
couldn't figure
regressed.
out This is like the second year in a row we can't figure out a team trapping us. Like we have no answers. The second year in a row I've seen no lines being switched up like ever.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
really
I
think
guess
that
maybe not.
I really think that he just got lucky last year, caught lightning in a bottle with a few guys having career years, and now, now he's made them worse. And oh my god, he's absolutely terrible. He's absolutely terrible. I cannot watch another press conference. But all right, so then that pretty much wraps up the Sabres talk here. As far as well, we can get in the results in a second. But what are overall thoughts on how Adams did at the deadline here, just with these few deals? Like it, you like it, no, or kind of
Yeah, I mean
what we
whatever.
expected.
Our long national Eric Johnson nightmare was over. He shipped Kyle Okposo to a good team. Good for him. And I like the Byram trade. So I mean, he didn't
Yeah,
move out Olofsson or Gergensons, but nobody wants Olofsson, and I don't know. Gergensons is like a saber for life or some shit. So like, whatever, man. Doesn't bother me much.
it's funny too because Byram. I'm just looking at stats real quick. Byram was getting like 1950 of ice time in Colorado. You want to know you want to guess what his ice time was in the first game with Sabres?
24 minutes.
Oh, close 25. Yeah, just like fucking
Oh my
right up
god, he
there.
skated 25 minutes. God
But
damn.
that's probably he probably loves that. Like
Yeah, I bet he
give me
does.
more ice time. Yeah. So, yeah. I'm with you, man. I like the Byram deal, and then the other ones are fine. I'll be rooting for. I mean, Florida's fun as hell to watch anyway, so I'll be rooting for them to do good, and I'll be keeping an eye on Mittelstadt. It'll be fun because he's over there and they're on later, so I'll always be able to watch a fair amount of Mittelstadt in Colorado. So it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah,
Fun to watch him on a good hockey team.
I'm just checking scores.
Yeah,
Just
I know.
checking the
I
scores
was
here. I
looking
want to
to
see if
see if like
Casey got a
Middlestat got a
point yet,
point.
but no, nothing yet.
I know. I know.
That's
I'll be
so funny.
watching that. It's so funny.
But dude, our recent results. I mean, it was fun to kick the shit out of Vegas last Saturday. 7-2 win. That's always fun. But then we get destroyed in Winnipeg. Like the Winnipeg game wasn't even close.
Yeah,
And the Toronto game, I
they
almost
were
fell
winning
asleep
that
during
game
that
though.
game. Like that was
I think
prop. It would. Which game?
we were winning in the third in Winnipeg. We were up 2-1,
Yeah, we were. And then all
and
the
that's the
wheel the
game
wheels just kind of fell off.
because that's the weekend that Winnipeg came back. They came back from like that 5-2 deficit or whatever in Carolina the night before, and then they came back in the third to beat us. But
Yeah, that's a good hockey team, man. I mean, that was
yeah,
UPL started a back to back, and I think you kind of saw why goalies like never start back to backs. The second goal or the third goal, whatever it was, I'm not sure.
yeah, the
It was like
breakaway.
a
Well, not it
it was
wasn't a
like
breakaway. Power was back, but
it was a soft goal. Like you can't let that go in. I mean, but the mental strength to play two games in a row back to back like that's tough. So I kind of don't blame him, and he's been so good.
yeah.
Dude, the next game, holy fuck. The 2-1 overtime loss against Toronto. Oh my god, it was the most boring game I've ever seen. Did you stay up for did you like not fall asleep? Because
No,
I almost did.
I watched the whole game. I was almost falling asleep, but that was the night I had to take my garbage out. So I was pissed because they were putting me to sleep, and I had to wake myself up to take my garbage to the curb. But that game was terrible. It was so
Like,
boring. And also, Scotiabank Arena was like really quiet that night. Like there was no
yeah,
energy in that building at all.
because it's all rich people that go to the Toronto games. The tickets are too expensive.
But it doesn't usually. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever heard it that quiet. It was like real quiet
I
in there.
mean,
That was part
not
of why
gonna
I was
lie,
going to sleep.
not gonna lie to you though. Both teams really didn't give a reason for anybody to cheer. Like neither team was good like at all. Like there
Yeah.
was no attacking at all from both teams. Like I think Toronto's mid as hell. I think they're gonna get bounced in the first round.
Oh yeah, it's
But
like you said. If those
holy,
top two guys don't score, nothing's happening.
well, look at what happens. Zemgus Girgensons locked Matthews down for a full 60-minute game, and then the second that the second the fourth line wasn't out there to lock him down, he goes out and scores the OT winner. Like that's just kind
Yeah.
of how Toronto's whole season has been. Survive to overtime, and then Matthews and Nylander are going to save the day. That's literally their whole season.
Yeah, pretty much. And of course Matthews gets the winner against us, but All right.
And
Well,
then,
looking ahead. Oh yeah, go
well, that
ahead.
brings us to we forgot we didn't talk about the Nashville game with Bo and Byram, and then we kind
Oh
of touched
my
on it.
god,
We kind of
dude.
touched on we kind of touched on Byram having a great game. He get a goal, gets his first goal, gets an assist on a primary assist on a nice goal from Owen Power. But besides that, not really much to take home from this one.
Byram was the only good thing about this game. We were absolute ass in this game. We played like dog shit. And I
I
know
think
people
the
were
team
saying like, "Oh my god, dude, I was getting so annoyed." I think you were in this group of people, and I was getting annoyed at you too. Well, not I don't ever get annoyed with you, but I'm like, I'm not apologizing for this team because they played last night. They got in late on the plane. I saw so many
they
people
did.
after. I know, but dude, come on, come on. Like this is your job, man. This is your job. Like you got to get up for 3 hours a
I
day.
know.
Like
I bet they also were a little bit stunned about the Mittelstadt trade. I bet that their minds were not in that hockey game, and you could tell.
I guess, but yeah, no, I'm not. I mean, it was, dude, it was brutal. That was terrible. They just generated nothing that whole game. And Nashville, to their credit, they're on a heater. That's why I tweeted after the game, like, can't we like schedule like a concert, like a sweet concert, and just cancel it for all our guys, like, and just go on this heater to make the
Dude,
playoffs?
that's what accountability looks like, man. I mean, they were all getting ready
Yeah,
to go see U2,
yeah,
and it got canceled.
yeah,
And now they're on a fucking heater.
yeah, yeah. We got none of that in the Sabres organization, but all right. Well, we'll look ahead. We got a 3 game homestand before, depending on when we record. We got Saturday against Edmonton. That's an afternoon game. Tuesday against Detroit, and then Thursday against the Islanders. So we'll have either 2 or 3 games to discuss the or between our show now and then the next show. And so yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Just a quick note to everybody: if you didn't hear today, Ryan Johnson's back to Rochester, which I think is fine. That's just so he can get time there, and I think that's actually the right call for Ryan Johnson. So no problems with that there. But other than that, I think that's gonna do it for me. You got anything else here, Ryan? Before we finish up?
No, I got nothing. My shit was about to die. I was panicking. I thought I was gonna leave the room and my stuff was gonna die. I had to like run
We're
to my
gonna lose the
charger.
whole episode. The whole episode is gonna be gone. I always, I
I would
always
have been I would have been so mad.
I always get nervous that I'm gonna like X out of the window and like
Me too,
we're
cause
just gonna
dude,
go all the shit.
the people probably notice on YouTube if they're looking at us, but I am like always playing with my screen. I'm clicking on shit. I'm clicking on the
Oh
standings
yeah, me too.
100 times, and I'm like, one of these days I'm gonna X out the fucking tab. It's inevitable.
All right, man. Well, that's gonna do it for today. If you're gonna be attending Sabres home game here over the next week, hopefully they can play good for us, and I'll be getting my Bo Byram jersey as soon as I can. So there we go.
You can hey, if you're old school and you bought an old Josh George's Sabres
Oh
jersey
my
number
god.
4, you could go get that changed for a number 4 Bowen Byram jersey. No, even better. Even better. I forgot he existed. I forgot he played on the Sabres. You can swap out your Taylor Hall Sabres jersey
Oh
for a
yeah,
Bowen
Taylor
Byram.
Hall. That is true. That is
Uh,
true.
that's
All right, well,
awesome.
that'll do it for this week. If you are a fan of the show, like listening, as always, rate, review, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and like us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And we will see everybody in the next episode.
See ya.
Later.